Alright guys, this is my second video of the review of Plain State. What I'm going to do is actually read my review that I posted on Facebook, and the first video was the beginning, and it was pretty terrifying for me, but let's get down to it. Alright, so I rated it 1 star out of 5. I would rate it negative 500, but you know you can't do that. Okay, so I was at Plain State for about 2 months, and it was so scary. I recently got out of prison a month and a half ago, and Plain State changed my life. Yeah, I did this 4 months ago, so it was right when I got out, sort of, and I didn't know they had a Facebook, so I decided to put my opinion on there. I got in trouble a few years ago with drugs. I got 5 years probation, and I got another charge while on probation. I got pulled over and they found weed under my seat. I did not get reinstated. I got reinstated probation. I got 3 years prison instead. I was a non-violent offender going into a very violent atmosphere. You literally have to go into survival mode when you go there. It is inmate ran and dangerous. There was so many fights, so many guards having sex with inmates, a lot of cover-ups and things that happened that shouldn't have happened. We were treated like animals, but at the same time, inmates ran the prison, so we got to do pretty much whatever we wanted, but not in a good way. The whole time I was there, I only met maybe 3 guards that were actually good people and good to the inmates, you know, ones that had compassion. Very rarely you found those. Guards were ugly and would call us names like whores and fat asses and pieces of shit. I'll never forget I got called a dirty whore for drinking all the water and getting ice out of the cooler by a guard. It was summertime at Plain State. There is no air conditioning and we ran out of water. So, yeah, I grabbed my cup and I dipped it in the ice to get me something to drink, because it was so hot in there. The ground was sweating. The cement was sweating. Oh my, it was the worst condition I've ever been in. And on top of that, we were on lockdown for 4 weeks. We couldn't get off of our bunks at all. And so we were suffering, and I wasn't the only one who did it, but I got caught, and she pulled me aside and called me a dirty whore and a fat ass, and my hands are filthy, and I used my cup, and if y'all would have filled up the cooler, I would have been able to drink water, but there was none. So anyway, let's see, so we ran out of water. The plumbing for the showers was not working correctly, so they had to redo their plumbing, and we only had scalding hot water. I remember, okay. They would not turn the temperature down, and it was summertime. Most girls didn't take showers because it was so hot. They would take what they called whore baths and wash up in the sinks. One time, we didn't have toilet paper for a week and a half. Plain State was so dirty that the showers were infested with worms. Worms would come out of the drain and just sit at the bottom of the showers, and they were black. They were everywhere. And let me get started on the kitchen. The kitchen was the most disgusting place I had been at Plain State. The food was awful, but I understand I am in prison, so I knew I wasn't going to be getting great food, but there was hair still on the meat from the animal that they had butchered. Sometimes we wouldn't even get fed. They ran out of food. And working in the kitchen was hell, especially in the summer. We weren't required to wear non-slick boots in the kitchen while we worked. And because of that, a girl got severely injured while I was there. We are supposed to, but the guards didn't give a shit. They didn't give a shit that if we wore boots or not. So, and there wasn't enough supplied for 50 girls working in this giant kitchen. And so, even if we were required to, we wouldn't have been able, all of us, to get boots. So this girl who got injured, this was mortifying. Her arm almost got taken off because she fell and slipped on a metal table that had an industrial can opener on it. What she did was she was holding a bunch of pots and pans and didn't have those boots on and fell, and her arm literally got caught on this. It was like this table, a metal table, and a corner of the metal table had like bent upwards, and there was a can opener on it. I don't know exactly what she fell on, either the can opener or that corner. But man, she fell, and what they had to do, she didn't realize that she had really hurt herself, and she was hung up on the table, and girls came up, the prisoners came up, and they had to literally lift her off of this table, and when they did, blood went everywhere. Oh, let me finish. There was blood everywhere, and we still ate in the chow hall that night. The blood was a couple feet away from where we ate. The way they treated that poor girl with her arm hanging off was disgusting to me. Girls were mortified. They handled her incorrectly, and she had to walk out of there. She was almost unconscious. They wouldn't get her a wheelchair or nothing. They wouldn't touch her. Girls were mortified. Yeah, I already read that. They refused to give her a wheelchair. Her arm was literally hanging off. The guards didn't know how to handle her and didn't know how to handle the situation. So get this is wild. A few days later, rumors had spread around saying that she actually lost her arm. But it wasn't true. But, you know, a lot of stuff gets started and people freak out. And so, but everyone was terrified to work in the kitchen, including me. The day I didn't go back to work, they made all the people that worked in the kitchen sign some paperwork, right? Saying that they had been trained. Let me tell you, none of us were trained. We were supposed to get like 35 hours worth of training. None of us got trained. Like 100 girls, none of us got trained, and they wanted us to sit down and sign this paperwork? Are you kidding me, saying we got trained? And what the thing was Huntsville, the main prison system in Texas, was going to put them under investigation because of what happened to this girl. And because of that, Plain State flipped out and went on a heyday spree of trying to clean up this kitchen. And they made all these girls clean up the kitchen. And all these girls were signing this paper. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Do not sign that. And maybe they were afraid that they would get in trouble, because they did threaten us. They threatened us and said, if you don't sign this, we're going to make you work 7 days a week in the kitchen and blah, blah, blah. You know what? I don't care. I don't care. They gave me this girl who they called Officer White Sox. She was an inmate, but she thought she ran shit, you know. She comes up to me and gives me this paper along with a couple of my other friends that were sitting with me, and she's like, you need to sign this paperwork and we need to give it back to the sergeant. And I was like, let me see this. And I started reading. It says we were supposed to get all 100 hours of safety training. And I'm like, you're kidding me, right? None of this happened, and we were supposed to check off and initial each time and every day. And I'm like, I'm not doing this. And she's like, well, you have to. They're going to make you do this and that and this, and they're going to make you go to work 7 days a week. And I'm like, I'm not signing this. And girls were just signing it, and I'm thinking, this is nuts. Like, why would they do this? To cover their asses. And so I told the girl, nope, it's not happening. I'm not doing it. You can take this paper and shove it. I'm not going to sign it. And she goes, well, I said, you know what this means, right? You know what you're doing? You know what This is a cover-up. She goes, yeah, well, you're one of the smart girls. You know, all the other girls, they're stupid. And they'll sign it. They'll sign anything. And I'm like, well, you know what? I'm not going to be one of those. I'm not going to do it. That's fucked up. And I saw that girl later on, and I actually, a few months later, I got put in her cell. She was brought back to Plain State. They didn't transfer her, and I thought that would be the most logical thing, because this is such a horrifying experience for her. But they brought her back, and I was in her pod, and she was beautiful. This beautiful Mexican girl, covered in tattoos. I mean, she looked like a badass, you know. And her arm, it was mangled. I mean, the scars and like a chunk of her arm, like right here, a chunk of it was gone. It was just gone. And it was still healing. So anyways, that happened. Oh, they got rid of the table. They made all of us clean. I didn't show up to work. Fuck them. They threatened me with a case. A case is like a disciplinary sheet you have to sign, and it goes towards your parole. And well, they threatened me with it, but I transferred before I could get in trouble. But that is the only, well, no, I lied. Okay, I was about to say that's the only time I got in trouble, but I didn't. I got in some more trouble after that later on. Trying to do what's right, man. And that's all I wanted to do, was try and do what's right. And because when I got in prison and jail and all that, I wanted to do what's right. I wanted to do what God wanted me to do, and that's all I wanted. I want to do what's right. I want to do good for people, and I felt like not signing that piece of paper was one of the best things I had ever done, ever taken up for myself like that. You know what I mean? So anyways, let me finish reading this. None of us were trained. Huntsville was on their ass and was about to show up to do an investigation, but Plain State got inmates to clean up the kitchen, got rid of the table that the girl fell on, and hundreds of girls signed paperwork falsely. I was disgusted. Thank God I was only there for 2 or 3 months, and know that women can stay up there to 2 years. That's the longest women can stay at Plain State. And I feel sorry for them. Yes, I needed to pay my debt to society, and I have changed my life and given it to God, but it was no help through Plain State. Plain State needs to be shut down, and it is a disgusting and unsafe place. Okay, so that's the end of it. I've got several comments here from concerned mothers, sisters. How come I haven't heard from my daughter? It's been months. When you go into prison, you don't get to contact your family. The only way you can contact your family is, okay, for your family, this is important. To have someone on the outside to help you is the way you're gonna make it.